Hello and welcome to yet another beautiful classical game. This game is called Lights Out and one of the very classical and old ones. The goal of this game is pretty simple. We're going to turn all the lights by clicking on them, but there is a special rule here, and that is when we click on one of these light bulbs, it will toggle. So if it's on, it will be off. If it's off, it will be on. But it will affect all the adjacent lamps as well. So if I click this one, this will go off. This is on, this will go off. This is on, this will go off. This will go on, and this will go on. Step 1, we are going to create the React app in our current folder, like so. And as it's installing, I'm going to the Google fonts and I will grab this font, go back, and in the app.css I will remove everything, add this, then this one, let's start our app. So yeah, we have the font here. So font is done. Let's remove this one, go back and do some cleanups here. I would change this to a arrow function, which is my preference, and it will return just a div of class app for now. Don't need this logo. Let's go to the index.js. I don't need this one, not the report with vitals. And so I don't need this index.css, none of these files, and not the app.js. Let's first go here to my app.css and define a few variables so that I am using it across the app. I would define the size to be 25 pixels. This will be like for these lights and the spacing here and everything. Then I would define two colors. One is the blue, the other one is so the blue is this color and the orange is this color. Nice. And here let's format our HTML and body, removing the margins and the paddings, and give it the height of 100 VH and some BG color as well. Then we shall go to our app. If we look at here, we can see that we have just one title and one board that is going to be rendered. So here in our app, we will have a title component that we will write and a board. So here components and board and board.js. So I have the board.js. I need a board.css as well. Thing that we want is the title/title.js. This is going to be in the component. So we have the board, we have the title, and the title.css. Let's go to the title. It's just a simple component that will spit out the word lights out. So we would go here and say this has a class name of title, and there are two spans here. The first one says lights and the other one says out. These two have a class name. This one is the orange one and this one is the blue one. Need to export it as well, so export default and title, like so. Here in the board we would just for now say This is rendering the word test so that the app works. Then we will get to it and change it. Okay, now it should do the auto import for us, like so, and the errors go away. Right, so let's go back to our app and we see the lights out and the test. Let's give this lights out. So let's write some CSS for this so that we are done with the lights out. The title should have a font size of, let's say, twice our size. I need to import it here. And the size is nice. We need to give this the color orange and to this one the color blue. So let's go here. Some letter spacing like 2 pixels is enough, and some margin to the bottom. This is enough. The orange basically has the color of orange. Same for the blue. Yep. So for our blue, we have a text shadow like these values. And let's go back here. Stands out, awesome. Let's do some animation for flicking out for this one. Go here and I would say this has the animation of let's call it flicker, and 1.5 seconds and infinite and alternate. So down here define that keyframes. So for 0%, 18%, let's say 23, 25, let's say 53, and let's say 57% and 100%. We have the text shadow, which is similar to this one, only with the color orange. Nice. And for a few frames we want the shadow to go away. So like here is none. Let's go back and it's working perfect. Okay, we're done with this file and the title. Just remove this space from here and put a space here so that there is a little space between them. So here let's go to our app and bring everything to the center. Flex, and the direction is column, and align items to the center, and let's give it some padding to the top, which will be like so. Cool. So we have our title. Next thing is we need to have a box of like 5 by 5. Right. So let's go to our board here. The thing that we want to do is first create the grid. So I would say have a board. For now it's empty, but we need to fill it with a board of 5 by 5. So I would define a create grid function which will spit out a array of 5 by 5. So new array of the size, let's say 5. I would fill it with nothing and then map each row to be a new array of the size 5 again. Then fill it with nothing and then map it again to, let's say, false or true. So I would say math.random is less than 0.5. So for some of these grids it will be on, and for the rest it will be off. So I can remove this one and it will return this array in the end. So let me log the create grid to see if it's working. Of course I need to return something, so still returning the test, and this should be comma. Let's go back here, and here we see the test. Opening our console, we have an array of 5 and some of them are true and some are false, which is awesome. Alright, we need to set the board according to the array that we get here. So I would grab this and put it here after defining the create board, and we would say that here just create board for us. And now our state should have the grid. Let me put this here and close this off. So if I say board, then our board has the same values. So let's go here to our return statement and say that we have a div of the class name board, which we will define later, and we can do the mapping here. So board dot map for each row and row index. This should be mapped to a div for the board, so a div with the class name of row, and let's give it a key of the row index. Close the div here, and here we can map through the row. So we say row dot map. This is the cell and the column index, and we want to have a, let's say, div for now with the row index and col index. Okay, so if I go back here and refresh, you can see that I have 0, 0 up to 0, 4, and then 1, 0 to 1, 4, 2, 0 to 2, 4, and everything is working fine. I have a warning for the key prop, which is here. So let's give this one a key as well, and the key can be like row index and the col index, like so. If I go back, refresh, and the error is gone. Let's go and just give it some style, just like the thing that we have here. So I would go to my board.css here, and I would say that the board that I defined, if I defined it with capitals, yes. Okay, so I would say display is flex, the direction is columns, let's give it some radius and some padding and some box shadow. Go back here. So yeah, okay, the next step is just to give some style to these cells. So if I go here and say this is a button instead of a div, it will be like this, which is correct. And I need to define some CSS for these ones. So for now I would say button has the width of size and the height of size as well. Let's say they don't have any border, and the margin is the same size that we have. And so yeah, I have my cells here, which is awesome. So I can change this to be rounded as well. So we radius of 50% like this, and I have all my buttons here in place. Okay, so let's put this in its own component. So here I would define a cell folder and cell.js, cell.css, and put this inside here. So const cell for now just renders this button, and it takes row index and col index. Let's export it as well, and let's go here and say that we now need to have a cell with the row index to be the row index, and the same for the col index. Should work the same. Yep. So we need to also send the state of the cell. Is it on or off? That can be easily grabbed from the board at row index and col index. And when I go here, I can deconstruct the is on and have some class for that as well. So like this, and I can say the class name is on, otherwise it's off. And I need to define these classes. So we first import the CSS file here, go here and say that the on and the off include this part, and we would have some classes for only on and some classes for only off. Of, let's say, this color, and the on is, let's say it's the color blue. And if we go back here, we can see these are on and these, the rest are off. We can remove this text as well here, so I don't need this. Yeah, I need to have some shadow for this one, like we have here. So in the on class, okay, now it's much more better. Right, so the next thing that we need to do is to write the click function. So when I click on one of these, the logic that I described earlier happens. So we would just say handle click for this, and we would write that function here. This handle click will do nothing, it would just run a function that we will define here. It would say that toggle the lights that have been clicked. Toggle the lights based on the row index and col index that have been clicked. and then of course it needs to go inside a curly brackets, and I need to return this. This is coming from here as well, and I need to define it here. So it would take a row and a column index, and for now let's just log those values to see if it's working. So if I refresh, go to my console and click, I will get an error because I didn't pass the function down. So toggle lights is lights. So refresh, and I clicked on row 1 index column 2. It's correct. This should be 0 0 and this should be 4 4. Awesome. So this is working. I had a error for the key at cell here. Yeah, this should have the key as well. So let's say that the key is what we have here, and I don't need this to be rendered here. So like this, and the warning should go away. Nice. Okay, cool. So now we are sending the key, which will be taken care of by the React. We have the function, we have the state, and we have the row and column here. Okay. So this part with the cell is done. It would just say that I have been clicked, or don't need anything on this one. And let's go to the board and really handle the toggling the lights. So the first thing is that I need to get a copy of my current state, because it's a two-dimensional array, so I need to have a copy so that I don't mess up. I would get the board and map each row to be deconstructed here. So this is a copy. Then I need to write the functionality. So when I click this one, this should go out. Let's write that first. The copy at index at row and col, this should be the opposite of whatever it, and in the end I can set the board to the copy. So if I go here, if I refresh, let me remove this one, and if I click here, this should go out and this should go on. So this part is done. Next part is check if there is something to the right, to the left, to the top, and to the bottom, then do the toggle for those as well. So if row is less than 4, actually let me do something. Let me grab the size here and use it on creating. So instead of saying 5 and 5 here, we would do the size so that we can expand our board when we need it. And here, instead of just hard coding 5, I would say size -1. And I'm getting this from here. So the board can have this value of 5, and I'm using it here. Okay, so if row is less than size -1, we grab this because this is going to be the same with a little bit of change. The row +1 should be the opposite. So let's go and test. if I click here, this one will change. If I click here, these two will light, and if I click here, only this will change. Okay, cool. Now the top row is if row is greater than 0, then row -1 should change. So if I click here, this should go off and these two should go on. Right, if I click here, this should go off and this should go on. Awesome. Then I need to do the same for the columns as well. Should go here. The same for the -1. So if I refresh, if I click on, for example, this one, this should go on and these four should go off. Yes, if I click this one, yeah, this is working fine. Awesome. So I have the state change as well here. So we are almost done. The only thing is that we check if we have a winner or not. To find out that, we need to see if all the lights are out or not. So here, after the board is rendered, we would say that if ends, if this is true, then just render like you won. Otherwise, we would render the board like so, and I don't need this anymore. This shall go to the right. But what is this function? This game ends function should go and check all of these light bulbs and see if they are off or not. So it's quite simple. We can say board dot every row, and on each row check that every cell is not cell or is off, so to say. If that is the case, then the game has ended. Click. I made a mistake. Here I need to check for the columns. Okay, if I go back, refresh, now it's working fine. Correct, and I can go on until I finish the game. Let's go and check this state that we won. Here we would say that for all of them say false, and we have won. So let's give this one some style and then we are done. So here, instead of just rendering something, we would say won and like so. To our board, say that if somebody won, let's give it the color of white. The font size shall be like big, like maybe twice the size. Some letter spacing of 2 pixels. And some shadow as well. Oops. If we go back, yes, I'm happy. So a little bit of a padding here as well. Maybe something like this. Yep, nice, awesome. Let's go back here and here and So let's return it to whatever it was. Let's say less than 0.4. Go back, and everything's working awesome. The only thing that I need to check is that if I go and change this to, for example, 7, will it work? Yeah, it works fine. Awesome. So yeah, this was another classical game, and the code is also available in my GitHub channel as always, and the link is in the description. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.